Hi, everyone. It's Adriana Monique Alvarez, the CEO of Alma Publishing, and I'm super excited to be live today with Miss Brandy Knight. Hi, Brandy. How are
Hi.
you?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Me too. So I'm going to go make sure that this is where I think it's going.
Yes, ma'am.
And would you take a minute, tell everyone where in the world you're joining from, where you're at?
Yes, I am coming at you from Seattle, Washington, which is a mixed bag. We've had some sun. It's been delightful. And I say that as a point of importance because we typically don't have sun right now during this time of year.
This is a point of importance. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Sunshine?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sunshine
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
happiness. I love it. And I am joining you from Colorado, and we are thrilled to be in spring. Everything's blooming, the sun is shining, and it also means our hands are in the dirt. Like we are planting like crazy. So, and Brandy and I, we're coming live because we want to talk about what collaboration means. I'm going to have Brandy share what it means to her, but I first want to set the stage. So, when we started our business, networking was at the it was like the center of what we did. It was the only way I knew how to get business, right? So back in the day, it was the chamber and BNI and taking someone to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I learned that from my dad. My dad is an excellent networker. He literally knows every single person in town. And he's always doing pop buys and keeping his finger on the pulse. And then when we came online, what I learned was, oh, I could do this on these platforms as well. And so I would network in Facebook groups and with admins. And the very first networking collaboration type thing we did was in 2000, I want to say it was 2017. And we did a 4-week networking circle. We had people in over 30 countries participate. We had about 100 and I want to say 111, 100 and something around there people. And we had one intention is if we all decided for a month to play together, to communicate, to share what we were doing, share what we needed, share what would be helpful, let's see what could happen. Let's see what friendships could be made. Let's see what problems could be solved, what resources we could tap into. And it was absolutely incredible. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but it was even better than I could have imagined. And a lot of people in there, they had never done that. Like they were used to doing life and business by themselves. It's my responsibility. I must figure out every single thing. I promote alone. I facilitate alone. I fulfill every single thing all by myself, right? And when we started Alma Publishing, we knew that we wanted this to be built in. So our authors have been networking and collaborating from the beginning. But the thing that I find is that this is often foreign to most people in business. Yeah. And when you ask people, like, what's the most challenging thing about being in business? You know what the answer is 90% of the time, Brandy?
What?
It's lonely, it's
Yeah.
isolating.
Yeah.
I feel all by myself. And the thing that I found is that was less so when we were in person and we were brick and mortar and we were,
Yeah.
because we would see each other interact. When people have these online businesses, it's them in their room with their computer and it feels very, very isolating. So we want to change that. So that's the backstory. We have this author group. So when people join our books and tell their story in our books, we have an author community. We call it Uncommon Collaboration that they get access to. And all kinds of magical things can happen in there if they want it to. So Brandy is one of the facilitators for the weekly calls that authors can tap into. And she's done an incredible job of leading these calls this year. And, first of all, I just want to say, Brandy, when someone like you steps up and says, yes, I'll lead, I'll facilitate, I'll take that role, it's huge because we all feel like we've shifted from this old model of leadership where it's like there's one person and bless her heart, she's responsible for everything, right? She's got to sell it, she's got to facilitate it, she's got to deliver, she has to do it all. And so a series of events during the holidays, it was just clear, like I knew I couldn't facilitate these calls anymore. And you had raised your hand and said, I want to do this. I will help. So I want to thank you for being that kind of woman, first of all.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I've had complete and total faith and trust in you, knowing whatever came to you, whatever you decided to do in those calls would be absolutely perfect for the people there. So I would love if you'd share, what does uncommon collaboration mean to you? What does that look like? Because sometimes this is like a very, it's hard to pin down for people.
Absolutely. Thank you, by the way, for all of that. Um, I was one of those people that I was working in person, I was in a healing center. I was working, I was slam packed, booked. I had a team, the whole damn thing. Right. And then like many of us, it was just like, hey, just kidding. Right. And transferred everything to online because I wanted to make damn sure that I didn't need to necessarily be location dependent in order to make an income. So
Mm,
that's what I've been doing the past few years, just to give everyone a little bit of a background. They're like, hey, I'm right there with you on like a lot of this. And it has been a real deal growth experience to be able to lean into building relationships in a new way, because my business is now online and a lot of stuff that we're doing looks like this. So uncommon collaboration, I think at the core for me, looks like getting to know other people
mm,
in life and in business, because for most of us that are here in this community, it's interwoven.
yeah.
And now people don't need to necessarily do things the way I do or agree with what I'm saying, but if I'm going to be collaborating with anyone on anything, I want to know that kind of on a core level, we mesh. There's some sort of connection. We don't need to agree on everything. We don't need to do things the same way, but I need to be able to look in your eye and you look in my eye, and there is some sort of bonding element there that only comes with building a relationship, and building a relationship can only happen if there's communication. So uncommon collaboration to me looks like, let's communicate, let's get to know one another, and we got to show up in order to do that. So this group is a really good container and space to practice showing up in a new way, or show up in maybe the same way but with new energy.
Mm,
And I think that's a big one for so many of us, me included, where I'm involved in so many different things that sometimes showing up to the Zoom call or to the this or the Facebook group is just like, I don't have the energy for that. It's kind of depleting. And so what I'm bringing to the table as facilitator in my calls are tips and tools and techniques, not just to craft and deliver a very clear ask, but how to show up so your energetic resource isn't getting depleted, that you have energy, passion, and excitement to create in new ways and to come together with new connections and new relationships that are ultimately going to support not only your business, but your life.
I love this. Okay, so one of the things you said is really really good. In When I go to the beginning, you talked about what has to be present for us to do something together, right? I mean, I think about the most basic thing. For example, there is a baseball mom that I got to know last year, and we went together on like birthdays. So we had to, like you said, we don't have to have everything in common, but we knew, oh, you know what? We both care about our boys. Our boys are the same age. We like similar activities. We know that you're going to be like this, and I know I can trust my kids with you, and you can trust your kids with me. So we have this foundation, and then we just keep building on it, right? And the same is true in business. It's across the board, right? So it's like, okay, if we have a handful of conversations, we start layering this on. And then, we have a little hangout session. Then I figure out, oh, she likes to do this when she's not working. Oh, cool. This is what I do when I'm not. Oh, this is how, oh,
Yes.
see what I'm saying? We begin to layer on, and it's not just about business and bottom line and offers and money. Every single aspect of our personalities and our lives begin adding to this trust and this relationship, that we go, oh, you know what? We could do even more together. I could go even deeper with you.
Mhm.
So I love that you address that, because sometimes it's very mysterious to people, like, how does this happen? It happens through conversations. It happens by just literally sending someone a message. Brandy, how did we meet? So let's break this down. So I must have seen you were in a book, or you did a post, or you were in a video, and you just stood out to me, right? You were just like this bright, shining thing. And so I went to your website, I went to your profile, I checked you out, and you had your phone number somewhere on that. And I sent you a text message, and I was just like, hey, Brandy, I like that thing you did. This stood out to me. Hey, would you ever want to connect and have like a little call? And you were like, yeah. And I think it was pretty cool. We were on the phone together. Yeah. Whatever we talked about, right?
Yes.
It's that simple. It's just literally like someone stands out to you. You notice someone, you like what they said, you feel like you have something in common with them. Like, oh, I appreciate that. Do you want to further this conversation? Should we get together? Let's just have a little chat. It's like that. That's what it looks like.
Yes. 100%. And we were on the phone within, I think, like 20 minutes. Or like, yeah, what are you doing right now?
I was right here on the floor on this rug, and you were like, well, what are you doing? And right. And the thing is, one of my favorite moments in life. So Derek and I, we've done so many things. But I remember we went to some, God knows what it was, some conference in Phoenix really early on. We had just got married. And I remember whoever was up there on the stage said, the interesting thing about human beings is that we really, really need each other. We're meant to be interconnected. But on a lot of levels, whether we're willing to admit it or not, we're terrified of each other. Mm-hmm. Right? And we're terrified of what could happen if we sent a little message like, hey, do you want to get on the phone and talk? There's a million things that could have went through both of our heads that prevented it from happening, but we were both just open and went for it. And that's what I would encourage people to do, is just like, what the heck? What do I have to lose?
Absolutely. I think that's so important. And I think that's definitely what gets in the way. And for so many relationships across the board is, am I going to get in trouble? Right? Like if we're looking at like core stuff, am I going to get in trouble? They're not going to like me. Am I going to get in trouble? Or the scarcity, the competition, whatever, lack, oh my God, they're going to take my client, whatever. So, there's no competition, no competition needed. And if someone doesn't like you, they don't like you, right? I mean, that's life, right? We need the people to not like us so then we can experience the joy of what our people feel like. And it's so valuable. And I think that's, when you're working in a team like this or in a community like this, and the stakes are getting higher, the work is, getting maybe bigger, the audience is getting bigger. This is where you want to practice showing up anyways, because the bigger the audience you have and the bigger work that you're doing, people aren't going to like it, and then people are going to love it, right? But you've got to be able to kind of stay the course, and stay steady, knowing that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to your mission. It doesn't matter to your person, to your purpose. And I think that's a big one too, kind of like outside of traditional business and the BNI scene and some other kind of more traditional networking groups, is infusing, you can use whatever word, but your soul's purpose.
Yes.
And talking about that, and because we are ushering in the Aquarian age, the golden age, and there has to be that kind of elevated dynamic in business, and especially when working with energy exchange like money. Otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere, right? We're not going to call it in. And so that's another reason why I'm a part of this group, is because I see the value and the importance of not only building community and having conversations and building these really beautiful relationships with people, but kind of to serve the greater good of all. And so that's a really good why for a lot of us, right? It's just like, okay, when shit's hitting the fan, remember, what's the skin in the game? What's my why? Why am I here? And if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, that's why joining some of these calls and these programs and joining the group and saying, hey, reaching out to people, these conversations and interactions will help you get clearer on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone commented, they love this. Will I come across authentically as me? Practice contributes to this. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
This is a great point, because that has to be present, right? I have to be willing to be true to myself.
Yes.
And every time I enter a room, right, whether that's going to a baseball game, going to a women's luncheon here locally, coming onto a Zoom call, doing this, I have to be good with myself. Otherwise, I won't come with me. I'll come as I think I have to be. Who do
Yes.
they expect me to be? What do they who do they think I'm supposed to be? And like all of that is, ugh, right? It's no fun. It's too heavy, and you can't keep it up. It's like, but we can always be us, right? We can, like you said, come back to the core of who we are, why
Yes.
we're here. And you bring up a really good point, and I'm seeing this a lot with the people that move toward us. And I know you know this is true as well. Is that people have went on a journey of self-discovery so that they do know. Just to throw out a couple of things, right? So when you look at like human design, when you look at your life path number, when you look at
Mhm.
your spiritual gifts, when you look at your astrology, when you look at whatever it is that you look at, you get clues about who you are and why you're here.
Yes. Yes.
And I know that each piece that each person brings comes from that. It's rooted in that, right? So, like me, there's two things I always come back to. And Brandy, I'm sure you'll get this. So, I'm a 5-1 in human design, right? Manifesting generator. So, my purpose isn't like, oh, I'm achieving this for me. It is always for the good of a group. And if I don't interact with people, I can't fulfill my soul mission. And if I can't find ways to benefit many people, I actually don't benefit,
Yes.
right? I starve in many ways, and it's just not fulfilling. It's not on point. My life path number is 3, which means I love gathering people. I'll throw the party, but everybody's got to come to the party and be willing to contribute something, right? I'll gather the group like uncommon collaboration, but heck, if I'm the only one who has something to contribute, right? So every individual going back to who they really are and what they're here to do is huge.
Yes. Yes. And I love that you brought up these technologies, and it's what I infuse in my own work with myself and my clients as well. I'm bringing the emotional health techniques to the table, but I'm always going to be infusing it with numerology, something like a human design, astrology. These technologies will really give you that kind of like peek behind the curtain specifics to, what's coded in your being. And I'm I'm a manifester, 5-1 manifester, specific emotional manifester. So I'm all about strategy. And with a manifester, I spark it. Right. I spark it. I'm the initiator. And so I really thrive with a team because I need that, those other dynamics to help drive it home. Right. So here's the idea. Let's do it. So, and again, where else are you really, I mean, thankfully more people are leaning into this, but I feel like groups like this are really kind of spearheading and pushing the envelope in business uh, by leaning into these technologies and how you can. And this is another thing, when you're in a community like this, you're having these conversations and you're getting to know people's numbers and aspects and numerology, then you can really start to, if you want to, handcraft a team that is going to be so dynamic by utilizing these technologies. And if you're leaning into astrology and numerology for launches and pricing, I mean, that's the billionaire move. Those are billionaire moves. I guarantee you that the billionaires, maybe not the millionaires, but the billionaires on the planet are doing this. And it's our job to be billionaires because we have the technology and we have the inclination to want to serve the greatest good of all. So that's what really, going back to propelling us into the golden age. That's why these groups are needed. And that's why we need participants like, whoever is watching. And in my groups and in my work, the calls that I facilitate, the first rule, only rule is show up as you. I don't care if you're fumbling. I don't care if you're cussing, right? Like whatever. Just show up as you. I don't care if it's polished. Just show up passionate and show up as you.
Mm, I like that. And the thing that I want to remind everyone of is I know the concerns or fears that happen when you're like getting ready to walk into a group, walk into a meeting, walk into a party, right? I remember how I would feel going to, about to walk into this chamber event or this BNI event. And it's like, right? My heart raced every single time before I walked in. I would be in my car, like doing my things, breathing, practicing my 60-second commercial, preparing myself. Cause it's like when you walk into a group, you have to be able to stay steady. And one of the things I love that you said there is like, don't walk into the group and think everybody's got it figured out. Don't think that people are ahead of you or that, you're wherever you are is the wrong place. No, the truth is there's a wide variety at these groups, which is awesome. You've got people who don't have a business yet, but they know they're starting one. They're leaving one career, starting another. There's people who have been doing what they're doing. They're transitioning though. It's like they're being rebirthed and everything feels new again, even though they've done it for a long time. And then there's very seasoned and wise people in this group who have rode through so many ups and downs, different iterations, and the whole spectrum is here. And wherever you are, that's good. That's perfect. You don't have to, I'll wait till I get my act together. Once the stars align and all my ducks are in a row and I'm polished and perfect, then I can do this. That's not the case.
Yes. Yes. What I've been noticing, and people can take it or leave it, is if you're listening or you're watching this and you have a product or a service that isn't quite going right, you're not really having the success that you want, people aren't biting, focus on your relationships. Maybe just press pause for a moment on the project, press pause on the sale, press pause and address the relationships that you have. And, we hear this a lot, nurture your relationships. But I mean, even aside from like a email list, right? One-on-one conversations, build the relationships. I have referral relationships where people send me people that are really going to sign up to my services because they know it's a match. And that can only come with getting to know me and what I do. And I send people to other people because I know what they got going on. And, you can kind of handcraft these referrals, and maybe it's just one, maybe it's two, maybe it's not a 500-person email list that's, getting the information and saying yes. But for me, that's how I see kind of like the long haul relationship building. So that's coming up for me in my work too.
Okay, so Brandy, let's talk about this a little bit. And I want to say this. If first of all, just the thought of doing that makes you go, oh my gosh, I don't need another thing on my to-do list. What I invite you to do is, first of all, get some tools from Brandy, come to the call she does. But also look at what can go, right? So one of my favorite things to do, and I do this on a regular basis, at least once a month, is I go, what in my life can go? What is not feeding me? What is draining me? Or what just actually is just kind of, right? So I recently did that because toward the end of the month, I tend to look at this, right? So some things went just a few days ago. You know what? I don't think that that's the best use of my time and energy right now. Because we can always free this up, right? We can tap into new time, energy, and like you said, actually when I come back to my purpose and my passion, that gets real sharp. This comes in. And I think you're absolutely right. How many one-on-one conversations have you had in the last week, in the last month? Yeah. So this is something that is a fundamental that I never, ever get rid of. It doesn't matter. Oh, we've reached that financial goal. Oh, we've been in business this many years. No. This is a fundamental. It never goes away. It's like drinking water for me, right? Oh, I'm so healthy now. I don't drink water. No, I've been eating healthy for 49 years. No, I don't drink water. No. We drink water every day, right? We never toss that out. And conversations are like that for me in my life and business.
Yeah.
Right? So every week when I get to Friday, I actually look at how many one-on-one conversations did I have. So this is a great indicator for you? How many one-on-one conversations are you willing to have? And you don't have to have 10. Like, don't go fry yourself and then wish you went to done it.
Right.
You can be slow and steady. Start with one.
Yes.
Right? Be intentional. Be yourself and just see what happens. You also don't, you can be intentional, like, this is what I'm going to bring to the call, but you also don't have to control every aspect. Like, well, if this doesn't happen by the end of the call, this isn't worth my time. I feel like it's not necessary to do. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And what will happen is, and I think this is what you're saying, Brandy, is if I'm willing to have these one-on-one conversations, I'm actually going to be very in tune with what is true for me and true for others. And I do, like, I just did about a dozen of these. I'll do these formally in the business from time to time too. Then I know exactly where the marketing, the emails, the social media posts, the graphics need to be lined up. But that has to lead the way, not the other way around, right?
Right. 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 It is. I mean, the relation, and that's what uncommon collaboration is, right? It's not necessarily like, the bottom line, the numbers, that running the scene, and then, okay, wait, this product made this much, and then this product made this much. I mean, definitely keep track of your numbers. That's like, those are your babies. You want to nurture your money relationship the same way you would nurture your children. And that's like that baller move right there. But if you're, chances are, if you're in this group, even if you're so wildly successful, we're here to create, and that creative force flows, and it's continuous, and there's more, and there's new, and there's the next. And you said the word rich. I love using that word. There's a richness to getting to know a person. And literally, my style isn't going to be your style, but I'll reach out and be like, I like your face. Can we talk? Because that's me, and oftentimes people are like, you know what? I like your face too, but I thought you were going to be like one of those like weird yoga, like, and right. And I'm just like, girlfriend, what the fuck are you talking about? Right. So the importance of bringing you to the table, because and then meeting someone with that, and then by universal law, they will either bring to you them, or real quick, you're going to know that they won't. Right. And then it's just right, without having the only expectation for relationship building should be, how can I learn about me, learn about them? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't really care what people are bringing to the table in their business. That's not first for me. That's not first. I care about what they're bringing to the table in their delivery of themselves. Are they coming to the table real, or is it a facade? Are they honest? Are they comfortable? What's going on? And then it's just easy, right? Like their product doesn't determine my support for another person. The service doesn't determine my support for another person. It's the person that determines my support.
Well, it's true. And I've met people before, and I never would have thought like, oh, I would promote that service, or I didn't even know it existed. But because I have such an incredible connection with them, I'm like, let's find ways to figure this out. Like, we'll create something for this, because now I'm so in love with you. Now you've made me fall in love with your mission. And now I want more people to buy your X, Y, and Z so that they can get all of you and all of that. Right?
Yes.
And that's the cool thing that happens, is once there's an awesome connection, we'll figure out the rest.
Yeah.
It's just a natural progression.
Yes.
So we've done these author referral circles once a week from the beginning of the year. We're going to take June, July, and August off, and we're really just going to powwow, right? I've asked all the facilitators, bring me your feedback, bring me your ideas, bring me whatever ideas, sparks, inspiration, because we're always evolving this. These calls look dramatically different than they did in 2017. I can tell you that. Different than 2020. Every year is unique. Every season's new. And the other thing is we want to find ways to make it easier for people to participate, right? Because we know when they do, they benefit hugely, monetarily, but otherwise as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So Brandy, tell me, what have you got out of the calls, or what have you witnessed other people getting? Like, how would you describe this when people are like, I've never done this. I don't know what that looks like. What could I expect? What would you say?
Yes. Well, I was a participant and a facilitator, which has been amazing. So I would say expect to bring your student mind. If you bring your student mind to these calls, you will get something out of it no matter what. And I think that that lacks in more traditional networking where it's like, I know it all, I'm the expert at it. And you might, right? But bring your student mind to these calls. And because I brought my student mind to these calls, I learned new writing skills, a new kind of avenue of flow around writing poetry, which is not necessarily my go-to when it comes to writing. So I let myself really just kind of like, clean slate. I don't know what, nothing, right? Give it to me. I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay. So one of the most important things I got out of these calls, aside from building relationships with other people, is the opportunity to be in receiving mode and to let myself learn something new and do something new. That was huge. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as a facilitator, what I witnessed is that people have really good ideas and not always the wherewithal or stamina or resiliency to have actionable follow through. Even when it looks like making an ask, and an ask could look like, hey, what's your favorite organic brownie mix? To I'm looking to fill 10 more spots in my program, right? Even just the energetic resource to craft an ask and then speak the ask, let alone take new action in the business. So in my calls, that's what we have been kind of going back to a little bit of square one on how to address kind of the flat tire, energetically speaking. What's the flat tire, addressing the flat tire, and then practicing driving the car with all tires filled. Okay. And that can look like a lot of different techniques, but that's what I noticed. And this is for myself included. It's the actionable steps, taking action, doing the thing, taking it out of concept and into 3D reality. So that's what I've noticed is a real big missing link for a lot of us, including myself, right? I'm still working on that for sure.
This is huge. And I want to say there is dynamic that I found to be really helpful for me, and it could be related to business or not, it could be absolutely anything, is to simultaneously be mastering something that I know I'm good at, that I practiced for a long time. So making sure I'm really then I'm just doing those fine details. So I have something that I'm at a level of mastery with, and I'm dedicated to that day in and day out. And then finding a way to always be the student as well.
Yes.
It's a great combination. Yeah. And because when you're the student, you're the beginner, you're the fool, you're just open. It's like whatever. And then over here, you're in a different headspace, right? So this weekend, I became the student of creating a watermelon patch and what that looks like, and learning my ABCs and my 1, 2, 3s, and like, oh, I messed that up. Oops, the daisy. Oh, let me try that instead. And it allows me to stay in that experimental. Don't take it too seriously. We're just playing around here. We're just in the lab. We're on the playground. And then you have a different thing with this. So both of those are really key. And then what you said is this: having something that I know, something that I feel, I'm aware of it. And then how do I move it forward and take action so it's real in the world? Yeah.
Yes.
And I know that it can feel so big. And so one of my favorite things to do is, what's one tiny thing I can do today that moves me in that direction? It points my nose there, right? So it might not be the whole thing. I might not get 7 calls on the calendar today of one-on-one calls, but what's one thing I could do? So if we're using this, let's say this is the action item we're going to give everyone, right? Is to book one-on-one call this week. The very first thing I could do is just identify one person that I've wanted to connect with.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to write that down. You know, I love writing stuff down. I have all these sticky notes. So I'll write their name down and I'll put it right here. That could be today's action. And then tomorrow, I'm going to send her a message.
Yes.
And then the next, then I'm going to put it in my calendar. And then the wheels are rolling. And then one day in between now and when we talk, I'm going to get an idea of like one thing I want to ask her about. I know this about her, but I don't know that about her. So this is breaking it down into these baby steps. So I like to feel good at the end of every day, right? Like I need to have a celebration. I need to have a win. So it allows me to have a win every single day, even if I'm not all the way to the destination. Her and I,
Right.
we're not partners. We haven't created revenue for each other. We haven't actually sent a referral, but I can celebrate all the wins along the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. This finding a way to chunk it down so we can feel good every day. We're moving, the wheels are rolling. We're not in park, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so any last thoughts that you want to share when it comes to uncommon collaboration, doing life and business together?
The way of the world as we've known it is done. Period. The end. It's done. And where we're right now is just this lingering swan song. And the time is now to start creating the new. There's an element of preparation. And when we're prepared, we get to alleviate fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of not having, fear of the new. And being in a group like Uncommon Collaboration, you get to not just create dynamics and relationships to help support kind of this new era in business and in life, but you get to try it out. Right? We're not looking, no one's looking for perfection here. We have to try it out. Like what Monique was saying is, identify one thing, one person, right? You start there. If you were my client and that even seemed too much, I would say, what side of the bed do you usually roll out of bed on? If it's the left, okay, well, tomorrow you're going to go on the right. And would you pee or do you brush your teeth first, right? If you pee first, maybe if you can hold it, brush your teeth and then pee, or whatever. Switching up and doing new things in a very kind of like manageable, achievable way, right? So then you can have success. Just like Monique, I have some success every single day. Right. And maybe your success is identifying one person. My success is, I made coffee before I brushed my teeth versus teeth and then coffee, because it's just change, right? We gotta be okay and develop the muscle of resiliency in change. And then, it sounds silly, but once you do that, then you can come to a group and be like, hey, can I, I want to try something out. I need a sounding board, something else. Or, hey, I love 10 people. Let's hop on a Zoom, boom, 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 whatever that might look like. You come to these calls and you're like, what? I don't really, this is new. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm here and I'm ready for it. Right. Because we're not asking you to be polished. We're asking you just to show up if it's a yes for you. So that I would say that because we're kind of in uncharted waters, right?
We don't know.
Come do new stuff with us.
Yes, I love that. And that is a great theme for us to have is like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're willing to show up, right? And I think that is so true. We truly are in a new era, and none of it, we can't pull from anything in the past. We can't go, well, this looks a lot like that one. No, it's not a lot like anything that has
Right.
right? And so what we're learning to do is go, oh, well, because I think the tendency is when I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, and I don't feel smart, and I don't feel like I got all this together, I think I'll just go hide in the cave by myself, lest somebody else figure out I'm clueless and I have no idea what's going on either. And I'm just taking it one step at a time. We can actually come together and go, yeah, me too. I'm just feeling my way through this. I'm taking one day at a time. And it's great to hear where you're at because it makes me feel less crazy and less alone. And sometimes that's the whole point.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the genius.
So you don't have to have it figured out. In fact, it's all new, as Brandy said. We're in a new era. The old is gone and dead,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And we get to create going forward however we want it to look. And we would love for you to come co-create with us, to come just
Please.
experiment and play around, because it's just a lot more fun that way. You know? If you're an author in one of our books, if you log into the author library, you will see trainings about how to make the most out of these calls. You'll see the call schedule. If you have not joined one of our books yet, from time to time, we'll open it up and you can be a guest, and that can be found in the Facebook group. And if you want to learn more, I put the link. We'd love to have you share your story and come join us in this, because who knows what we can create together when we come like this. Brandy, thank you for being of service, for offering yourself, your time, your energy, and your heart to this group. I really appreciate it. And I know how many have benefited from everything that you've taught them. We've had nothing but wonderful feedback. Until next time,
Woo!
Go find someone to talk to. Go find someone to connect with. Yeah.
I'm available.
Yeah, exactly. And you might be surprised how excited people get. Like, oh my gosh, really? You want to play with me?
Hell yes.
There's still kids on the playground. We want to be invited.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you're going to make someone's day by sending a message and saying that. Like, you will absolutely. Every time someone does that to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, Derek, Becky wants to have lunch. Becky wants to get on Zoom. All right. Until next time. Bye. Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.